What's been going on there in the last few hours? I know that you spoke to KGO in San Francisco as well, and you're kind of hunkered down in one room in your house.
Well, I did for a while, but I was having a problem with one of my shutters. It kept coming free, so I had to make trips outside in the middle of this thing to reattach it, and that was interesting.
Man, how did you do that? What kind of protection
I
did you
believe
take?
I put on a bicycle helmet.
That's smart.
Fortunately, the wind was coming out of the right direction, so I was pretty much blocked the entire time from the main brunt of the storm. But I was out in the eye wall when it was coming one last time to try and get that thing to be latched down because it kept coming loose. And that was the scariest thing. Um, when I went back outside, about a half hour, 45 minutes later, when the eye actually came over,
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of tree limbs were down in my yard that hadn't been down 45 minutes before.
Wow.
So, you know, it's pretty freaky.
The rest of us here in California, and I will just tell people who are watching that you and I work together, but then you moved to Florida and you've been there for quite a while now. How does this compare to other storms that you've seen? Because you're from that area of the country and you've seen quite a few.
I've seen this would be my fourth major hurricane, that was Cat 4 or better. I mean, but it was only a Cat 2, so it wasn't quite major when it made it here. Charlie is the worst I've ever been through, but Charlie was a much, much smaller storm. I mean, it was basically a 10-mile wide tornado
Mm-hmm.
that went just to the west of Fort Myers and just mowed down a county north of Fort Myers. This obviously is going to be an epic disaster for Florida because it was so big. But I don't think you're going to see the kind of catastrophic damage that you've seen in Houston from Harvey or in south east Texas. So while it's going to be bad, it's going to be miserable, and yeah, I want my power back on. I think I can go a couple days without having electricity and be okay.
48 hours before Irma hit, we were all looking at the cone of influence for the hurricane, and it looked like it was heading toward Miami. When did you get word that it was taking a turn and heading toward the western edge of Florida?
Christina, this has been a roller coaster ride of a week. Sunday, when I realized that there was a problem, and I really thought Irma was going to head right to us, I was on, meltdown mode. And then by Tuesday, it was, making that jog to the east, to Miami, and I thought, I'm good. I can just do my normal preparations and be safe and be okay. And then Friday comes along, and it's like, wow, do I stay? Do I go? And there were a number of things that happened. My cell phone completely died. So I had to go get a new cell phone, and by a miracle, I got one. I sent my family, the kids. My wife is in Europe, but I sent the kids out of state. I told them to leave immediately, and then I just did everything I could to get the house ready. And I talked to my wife one last time on Saturday about whether I should try to go to Orlando. And my fear was just getting out in the traffic if I ran into some sort of road difficulty. I was foolish to stay, but there's something about being in your own home. I did not want to go to a shelter. The shelters are awful here right now because they're overcrowded, and there's going to be a lot of angry people because of the shelter situation down here. And I suspect, and the county did really the best it could. It just, the storm surge thing just changed the whole equation, and people were forced to evacuate that normally wouldn't have had to evacuate.
Are you having more problems now in your area with the flooding or with just the debris that's down in the roadway and people's yards?
Well, I've got a couple trees down here. Here it's a mixed bag. When Harvey hit Texas, we were getting hit by a tropical wave that parked on top of us for 4 days and dumped 18 inches of rain. So our ground is saturated. I had flooding in my neighborhood. There was horrific flooding 5 miles south of me. So now we have another 12 inches of rain, and that's not good. It's going to be a mess to the south of me. I know that. But I don't think the storm surge that we expected is coming. I was just listening to the CBS station here. I think we dodged a bullet on that because the storm weakened so rapidly. And so, our part of Florida, I think, is going to be okay. I went outside, looked around the neighborhood. Yeah, there's some trees down. Yeah, a piece of metal came off my house. But boy, the neighborhood looks really good. And all the homes here are pre-Andrew homes. They're not built to withstand Cat 4, Cat 5. So, we did okay. And I suspect that's the way around much of the city and the county. I think there are down trees everywhere, but that's no big deal. Right. I mean, that's a chainsaw, and it's just going to be a pain in the you-know-what.
So what's next for Irma? What are you hearing in terms of where it's heading next, and are there any more vulnerable areas? Or has it weakened now so much that you're just going to have like the typical storm?
I think it's really weakened a lot. I bet you within the next 2 hours, it's probably a tropical storm. Tropical storms Christina and I may be crazy. I go out and run in tropical storms. It's just, it's a 40, 50 mile an hour gale. It feels good because it's so humid down here. It's a nice relief. So, you got to be smart about where you go and do stuff. I could leave my house right now. It's still blowing pretty well. But I just don't want to take the chance with the water and get caught in water because I have a business, and that I'm worried that my business may be pretty damaged from all this. Who knows?
It seems like that people took this storm, I don't know, more seriously. There were people that had ridden out other storms and other hurricanes that decided this time to leave. What made you stay?
Well, I stayed because I was stupid.
You're hardly stupid, John.
I'll be honest. I know, but I knew if the storm went a certain path, and I felt strongly because I've been through enough of these that if I was on the right side of the storm, and I would get through this all right. So knock on wood, all that happened. The people here took the warnings very seriously. One, I think Harvey's so fresh in everybody's mind, and two, a lot of the population here went through Charlie and Wilma in 2005. Charlie was 2004. And those storms were really worse than what we just experienced. So I think people it's so fresh in our memories, people got really good and scared and decided, okay, it's time to get out. I mean, I had so many friends fly out. I nearly took a flight out Wednesday, but I just didn't have enough prep work done that I felt comfortable leaving the house.
Right. So now, I mean, with the storm past, I mean, like I said, a lot of us have been watching across the country and just, biting our nails and praying for our relatives and friends that live in that area of the country. You don't see any devastation like what happened with Harvey in terms of, the need for FEMA help and that sort of thing down there.
I think the Keys got it the worst. I mean, the Keys are a mess from what I've been able to ascertain. The kind of help that's going to be going on, there's going to be some people that got flooded. I was lucky. I have FEMA insurance, but it hasn't happened. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, so I'm good there. But there are going to be a lot of people who have probably minor to somewhat more severe flood damage. Somehow, if a tree came down on a house, that's going to be a problem. But it's not the storm that it could have been. But again, it was so big. It's the biggest in terms of width. It's the biggest hurricane I think we've ever seen. And, it's just the whole state's going to have a lot of tree trimming to do, a lot of power lines to put back up. And people are going to be pretty grumpy and uncomfortable for the next week as they restore power.
Right. Yeah, those NOAA pictures were incredible, showing the size of the storm. So what is it like out there? Before I leave you, what is it like outside right now?
I was just outside 20 minutes ago. I opened my hurricane shutters in my bedroom, so I've got a nice breeze coming into the house because we have no air conditioning and it's starting to get warm again. But a lot of water in my yard. I went out in the middle of the street and it was up over my calf. I've got a small generator, so I'm lucky. That's the only reason I can talk to you because I've been charging my phone and everything. So I have a hotspot in this computer, and so I'm going to get everything charged up and be ready to go tomorrow morning because I know I've got some radio reports to do for some friends in other parts of the country, and and then I'm going to get my SUV and go see if my business is still in one piece.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I'm so relieved that you're okay. And I know you've been talking to stations all day long and you're a news guy. So I appreciate the reporting and letting us know what's happened there because like I said, all of us have just been watching and hoping and praying that everyone's okay.
I hope nobody's hurt. I think we got really lucky. And I must say it's great to see you. I miss you so much and I miss Dale and I miss so many of the people that I got to work with at KXTV, and even though it was a short run, it was a memorable run, and I got a chance to work with probably some of the best journalists I've ever worked with in my life.
Oh, well, thank you. Same to you, John. Thank you so much, and be well, and hang in there with no air conditioning.
Thanks.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.